This one's gonna go over good in the Facebook groups. Today we're going to be looking at this knockoff BC Rich Igniter, which for legal reasons is just in my hands right now. I do not advocate purchasing fake guitars because for one, it's illegal to get them here and import them, and two, if you run around with a fake guitar with the actual proper name and logo on the headstock, you're cringe and a poser. But let's talk about why this guitar is here. And for one, the reason I wanted this shape is because that. And if you disagree with me, you're just wrong. But I also wanted to get one of these in my hands so I could see how the QC of these no-name brand Chinese guitars is in 2025, because the stigma is still, especially for knockoff Chinese guitars, but just Chinese guitars in general, is that the QC is terrible and that it's basically just ticking time bomb of firewood. So when I got this thing out of the box, first thing that jumped out to me immediately was that the neck profile and the fret height, I guess I was going to say, not the fretwork, because we'll get into that in a second, but the fret height really reminded me of the late 2000s Korean BC Rich stuff that I used to have. There's a little Chuck Schuldiner signature. It was the Gen 1 version because it didn't have the 24th fret inlays, which was just like Chuck's, but just really comfortable off the bat and familiar in that sense, you know, shape-wise and profile-wise. The setup out of the box was not good. It was buzzing all over, the frets were all over the place, highs and lows, not glued in properly, which my tech will get into in a minute here. But since the neck was doing this, so I had to try and set it up, and then he did additional work, and then we tweaked it together to kind of get it as playable as possible. And now after fret work, after replacing this, which I'll get into the bridge in a second here because that was fun, and then replacing pickups just because I like EMGs, or who doesn't. Now it plays phenomenally. It plays better than both of the other Chinese guitars I have. I have a Epiphone guitar that he has also worked on, and I have I guess an Amazon brand guitar, which is a West Creek, which is still good, mind you, but he hasn't worked on that, and that's not as good as this. This plays way better than both of those combined now, I would say, honestly. I mean, again, it's just the rose-tinted glasses of new guitar, enjoy the shape of type of a thing. Here's how the guitar sounds. It's EMGs and a high-gain guitar, a high-gain amplifier. You've heard this before.
Alright, when you brought it in, the only thing they didn't give you was the arrows to shoot in the backyard because it looked more like a bow than a guitar. As I got into this, addressing everything that I saw when he brought it to me, frets were loose, they needed to be pressed in, neck, tons of relief, nut height was out, bridge was wrong, the pickups were subjective to, the cheapest things you could buy.
Hey, to give them credit, they were not microphonic, and I was surprised.
They were not microphonic, yeah. When you brought it to me, this isn't the greatest one I've ever seen. This isn't the worst one I've ever seen. It is somewhat middle of the road, but typical Chinese-made kind of stuff, or price point, guitar. Just little issues. They're mass-produced, and you get something at a nice price point, and then you find the work you got to do to make it play. And in this case, significant bow. At least the neck did come, it did straighten out.
And no twist either. That was something I was really surprised about.
Yeah, the neck was fine. It's straight. It's good. Inlay doesn't look too bad. Basically, just pressing the frets in and gluing them down so they're, they have some integrity. They're not falling over the place. We did the EMGs, so the whole thing was redone. We didn't do the plug and play. We did the old style hard wiring.
As God intended.
As you wanted. So that's fine. So
how much did you love me, by the way, for making you tap and drill these out instead of just getting a brand new one for?
It's just another day for me. I might have called you a couple names. I don't know. Now I put this in my mill vise, Basically, the old style bridge had smaller screws than the new style bridge, and the problem was the screws were smaller. The back piece, the screws were larger. So I just went to my mill vise, my drill press. I drilled the holes bigger, got the right tapped it for the right thread, and it just bolted on like it would if you bought it brand new.
So the other thing too, at least in my opinion, the biggest issue of this guitar, because at least for me it's not fixable, is the neck angle, especially right here. It almost looks like a diving board. So how steep of an angle is it compared to, say, stuff you normally see, and what's the issue you have with it?
You see stuff like this that has, it has a neck angle. Gibson did it. Everyone did it. This guitar's neck angle is so extreme that you're almost playing behind your back. So the only issue I have is because it's sloping up, and like I said, you see this in the industry, but you got this thing sticking all the way up. Me personally, I would change the geometry to bring this down a little bit closer to the to the deck of the body. Other than that, everything else is fine. Now, I wasn't so sure when I first started getting into this because the neck was concerning me, but it all came in, so it's just another day of work for me.
So would you say, you probably agree with me on this, that it's a gamble, 100% a gamble, and this time it was just a good return?
Like if somebody had 10 of these, I would imagine you're going to see the same kind of problems that exist with economy guitars, but it's all the same. So whether it's a $100,000 guitar or it's a $100 guitar, if the neck doesn't twist like a drill bit, and everything comes into play. I mean, obviously, wood is different. Quality of metals. Yeah, okay, we get that. Playability wise, okay. I mean, you can don't anyone hit me up and say, "What are you talking about?" Things like model airplane wood and those frets are made out of foil. I get it. There's a price point here, but we actually took a cheap guitar, threw in some components, did some good work on it, and now the guitar literally plays better than anything that's coming out of there without any work. I'd say you took a chance, because if this came here and I wasn't even able to fix it, then I would have given you some arrows and you could have just gone in the backyard and shot. I mean, there's some guitars that come to me and they're just dust. They're no good. There's nothing you could do with them. But in saying that, I've done this for over 25 years. So it's always nice when somebody comes in and says, "Hey, can you help me out?" And you take a guitar that's really not that expensive and everything else, you dial it in, and then it plays. The guy's happy. That's what it's all about. But I started out doing a lot of cheap guitars way back in the day for people, and this is nothing new. By the way, Robert's been bringing stuff to me for probably 10, 12 years, at least 12. Yeah. So this isn't the first rodeo with us two. Some of the stuff you've brought me was worse than this.
I was gonna say, what was it I brought you that was worse?
Some of the other stuff that you bought off the line. They didn't get the frets pressed in. Mm-hmm. The tang was too long, and they glued them in. So there's been guitars over the years that were like, what?
So where can people find you to tell you your opinion's wrong?
Oh, hit me up on Facebook, Instagram. Just call me and insult me. It doesn't matter.